Good. Thank you. Good evening. Welcome to this edition of Kakamega County Gubernatorial debate. Now, this is going to be an interesting debate of a kind because we have got 6 contestants who are yearning to take the top seat of this particular county. We are coming to you live from Masinde Muliro University of Science Technology, and we are so grateful that they offered this facility for us to have this function. Now, the rules of the debate is going to be so simple. There'll be no cheering, no clapping, no booing, or any other sort of disruption. This is only meant to give all the contestants an ample time to respond to the questions answered. Remember to switch off your phones and let's remain attentive. Thank you so much. Now, before we get into the whole content of this debate, let me introduce my colleague, Nancy Kware, who is going to be on the side of the audience to just give us a feel of what you should expect. Nancy, what should you expect? Good evening.
Naam, shukran sana Victor Olo, na bila shaka mtazamaji, leo hii tumetua hapa katika kaunti ya Kakamega ikiwa ni awamu ya 5 ya mjadala ambao tunakuandalia kama KBC. Na upande huu wa Kakamega salamu ni Murembe Mwesi. Hivyo basi mtazamaji, popote pale ulipo Murembe Mwesi, na karibu sana. Kumbuke ya kwamba wale wawaniaji watakuwa wanatoa tu baadhi ya zile ahadi ambazo watakuwa wanawaahidi wananchi ama wakazi wa eneo hili. Na wakazi ambao wamewasili hapa tutakuwa tunawapa ile fursa kuuliza baadhi ya maswali ambayo wanayo. Hivyo basi ikiwa una swali utainua mkono na kisha nitakuwa nakufikia na kulichukua na kulielekeza kwa wale wawaniaji. Kumbuke ya kwamba ikiwa uko pale nyumbani na ungependa kuuliza swali lolote kwenye mitandao ya kijamii, basi kwenye Twitter utatupata @KBC Channel 1, @Nancy Okware, @Victor Olo. Kumbuke ya kwamba hashtag ya kutumia ni Kakamega Decides. Lakini kabla ya hayo yote na kurejesha kwake Victor Olo aanzishe mjadala huu.
Very well, thank you so much for staying with us and for joining us on this particular debate. It's going to be an amazing debate. We have got 4 gentlemen sitting right in front of me, and they're going to sell the manifesto to a population of around 1.3 million. That is as at 2019 census. We have got very few days to go to the polls. And what kind of manifesto or agenda do they have for the people of Kakamega County? Now, let me start by introducing the gentleman in front of me. I have got Major Retired Suleiman Sumba Kanyanya of Kano. Just wave to the audience. Thank you so much. Next to him, we have got Opitso Austin, an independent candidate. Opitso, welcome to the program. Right next to him, I have got FCPA, Fernandez Baraza of ODM Party. Welcome to the program. And finally, I have got Samuel Omukoko of MDP. Karibu sana. Thank you so much. And at this particular point, I would love the audience to give them a round of applause for coming. Let's just appreciate them for coming. All right, so let's get into the real deal right now. Gentlemen, I'm going to give you 2 minutes each to respond to questions answered. That is the rule of the game. And I'll give you a minute each for rebuttal. In case there's any counter interaction, then you'll be given time to interject. But the rule is you'll be given 2 minutes each to respond to the question. Now, let me start with you. Major Retired Suleiman, let me start with you, and the question should be so simple. You are running for the top seat of this particular county. Why? Do you want to be the governor of Kakamega County?
I want to be the governor of Kakamega County because of the aspiration that I have on economic agenda, to see that this county moves to another greater level so that we sustain the economic pressure that is existing, so that we alleviate the poverty of our people, so that we are in competition with other developing economies, and so that we engage properly in terms of medical issues, in terms of industrialization, in terms of education, and in terms of water and environment. Those will be my 4 agendas.
Awesome. That's a brief introduction and the reason why you want to be. Let me go to you, Mr. Pitso. Why do you want to be the governor of Kakamega County?
Yeah. The reason why I want to be the governor of Kakamega if you look at the statistics of Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, we find that at least 47% of people in Kakamega are living under the poverty line. So my main agendas is around the issue about reducing poverty levels in the county. When I'm talking about the issues of manufacturing, the issue of trade, they are all targeted about the issue of poverty.
Great. What about you, Mr. Fernandez Baraza?
Thank you very much. The reason why I want to be the second governor of Kakamega County, number one, is to transform the lives of people in Kakamega using my experience, my network, and my capacity. Areas that I'll focus will be agriculture, where I'll want to bring on board value addition so that we can deal with issues around food security. On matters healthcare, I know my party leader is bringing on board Baba Care, and for me as the second governor, I'll ensure that we have level 4 hospitals in 12 sub-counties. Of course, also looking at the CHVs, who are our community health volunteers. I want to transform their contracts to be community volunteers and to be community health workers. On matters education, of course, again, my party leader has promised free primary, secondary, and university education. What I'll do, since ECD and early childhood education is a devolved function, I'll make sure that the teachers who are teaching our ECD children down there, we have a scheme of service for them so that at least we can motivate them. And then, of course, I'm looking at good governance so that using my network, we are going to bring investors in Kakamega County in order to make it an investment hub. I have a program of having special economic zones in the various regions so that we can create employment opportunities. And of course, building on the infrastructure that the first governors brought on board, just to ensure that Kakamega becomes the 5th city of this country. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, fair enough. Mr. Mukoko, you've heard what the three gentlemen have said. What makes you think that you're the best and to be the governor of this county?
Thank you very much. For me, what strikes me most profoundly is that when we set up the government of the county, government is an enabler. And one of the things that I really want to do is to empower the people of this county to enter into productive activities. Most of the time, you get a situation whereby you find people are saying, I will come and do this, I will come and do this. But it doesn't involve empowering the people to start doing things that change their lives. So my approach is to ensure that as I run a government, the government is an enabler. It creates an environment where the citizens of this county will find an opportunity to start doing things that will change their lives. And I've structured these things to begin with agriculture. Agriculture is the mainstay of our economy, particularly the county economy. And today, most people are doing subsistence agriculture. That is not sustainable. It is the single most cause of poverty that surrounds all of us. But by starting to corporatize the county, set up cooperatives that pool resources together, we will be able to put these people into cooperatives so that they can now start doing what we call commercialized farming. Cooperatives are the engine of development for small-scale people. The next thing is to be able to open up markets. People need to take products from the farm through agro-processing industries before they go to the market. Otherwise, today, we take very few things from the farm direct to the market, and people cannot make any money that can change their lives. So how do you put money in people's pockets? You got to ensure that the activities in which they are involved in they are properly empowered and that they go through a process that adds value to whatever they have taken from the farm. You look at the young people who are not engaged in any economic activities. We need to set up businesses for them. Entrepreneurship is one of the things I would like to promote in this county as we come down to the standard things that everyone requires. Lastly, I want to look at household infrastructure. Every household in this county should, by law or by order, have electricity, have water. Those are standard things that today one should not miss in their environment.
Okay, thank you so much. I believe your 2 minutes are over. Gentlemen, just to put it across that we extended this invitation to all the aspirants, and so far we are waiting for Honorable Cleophas Malala as well as Cyrus Jirongo. Wherever you are, the door is still open, so you can come and join us to this particular debate. Hashtag is Kakamega Decides. All right, coming to you, Suleiman. Kakamega County has national revenue allocation of around 9 billion shillings annually. And with a population of around 1.8 million people as a 2019 census, could you just tell me what you'll do with this particular money 100 days after elected into office?
First of all, there are underlying factors in every economy. And these underlying factors, I will really look into them. One is corruption. We must fight this menace called corruption, because with corruption in place, even if you have so many billions, they'll go into waste. Two, we must put in place a proper spatial planning for both urban and agricultural sectors so that we can woo investors and put in place better economies. Three, in Kakamega, just like any other economy, we have a big problem with our land management systems, whereby the planning units are below average, whereby we don't have enough physical planners and surveyors, whereby people waste a lot of time and money getting the services of land planning. Once you've put these underlying factors in place and you know the focus, then it's very easy to plan how best to use this money. We have an advantage of the population. It's not a weakness, it's an advantage. Though it is a consumer-based population, our main aim in 100 days is to put in place a better plan that will see this money being utilized in a better way. Instead of emerging so much on hardwares, buildings, we look into the welfare, into the software operations, the people themselves, the small-scale operators, the mamambogas, the boda-bodas, the health facility. When you take wholesome these apparatus, then in 100 days you can put in place a better plan that will marshal you in the next 5 years or so. So in 100 days, I will use it for proper planning, for these resources to be utilized maximally and give me a better effect in the long run, 5 years.
All right, thank you. Opitso, Kakamega County receives actually 9 billion shillings, which is the second largest after Nairobi County. Are you aware of that?
Yeah.
So you can imagine you have that money in the county of Kakamega. What do you do with that amount?
Actually, the county receives 9 billion, but I don't think if it will come in the 100 days you are saying. But to answer your question about what I'll do in the 100 days, there are issues about marketing, markets, issue about the market sheds where we have our traders. Some of those markets, to give traders sheds, you don't need a whole year, especially for those existing projects. And I think when a governor comes, every new person wants to start a new project. But when you look at the county, we have a lot of white elephant projects that are being started yet are not being completed. One of the things I want to do is to first complete the projects that have been already undertaken by the current governor. You have like the stadium is not complete. The referral is not complete, but we are asking, what are you coming to do new? What new thing? Mostly people are focusing on in terms of the infrastructure they can do, but they are not concentrating on finishing the existing projects. So my focus will be first, not just the first 100 days. My first year, I will not introduce a new project costing more than 10 million. I'll first finish the existing projects.
I will ask you some of these unfinished projects in the next round of the question. But coming to you, Mr. Fernandez Baraza, you have 9 billion shillings, and the county government of Kakamega, you are the helm of that position. Give me your economic plan on what you do with that amount of money.
First and foremost, I want to state that the first 100 days I'll spend to reorganize government. Because when you look at the current financial year, we already have a budget which has been approved by the county assembly. So my first assignment will be to reorganize the expenditure by having the county assemblies through the speaker to approve a supplementary budget. Because you have to reorganize at least the budget in order now to introduce the items that you are promising people. That can only be done through a supplementary budget. After that is done, of course, I believe in structures. I don't want to start spending money before you start planning. So we'll have to reorganize government, have my teams in place. I do the appointments of all the key people in government. And then from there, of course, we'll now start planning in terms of implementing the soft issues. Because when you look at the disbursements from government, it doesn't come at once. And my experience in finance, I'm not just going to depend on the 9 billion that is coming from the national government. I'm going to look at what are the on-source revenues and what other revenues can we bring on board using my network, so that we now have a wholesome budget process where we'll be incorporating the amount we are getting from national government, the amount we are getting from our own sources, and then the amount that we can raise from external financiers. So the first 100 days will be spent on planning, reorganizing government, and reorganizing the budget so that we can plug in the items that we have promised to deliver. Because you can't deliver on anything in the first 100 days before you reorganize the budget.
Thank you. But before I go to you, Mr. Mokoko, Mr. Batas, do you know the total amount of revenue being collected locally?
What I know is locally, the county government is collecting around 5 billion Kenya shillings. We have what comes from the exchequer, which is around 10 billion shillings. And then, of course, we also have an opportunity now to get money from external financiers. Okay. That's where now I come in very handy.
Thank you. Yeah. All right, Mr. Mukoko, now it's your turn. 9 billion shillings, you have that. You are the boss. What will be that amount?
Sounds like a lot of money, but if you look at what that money does, you look at it twice in terms of development and operational expenditure. So one of the things that I'll have to do is to analyze what proportion of money goes to development and what proportion of money goes into operational expenses. That has got to be reorganized, because the central theme of the government that I would set up is to focus on empowering people. And empowering people, you've got to be able to know is that what kind of amount can you be able to release that is going to go into development activities, and what amount is going to remain as to operational expenses. But priority areas for me are areas in agriculture, which are the mainstay of our communities. We've got to be able to put up structures that will enable us push money into people. empowering people to start doing the things they need to do for a long time. And of course, this comes with planning. So a lot of planning has got to go into the issues on the manifesto that I have, but first of all, to be able to rationalize expenditure between what is allocated between development and operational expenses.
Thank you so much. Just to tell you that we have got one gentleman who is also who joined us during the course of this program, Michael Osundwa Sakwa, who joined us, an independent candidate. Welcome to the program.
In terms of finances that are available, we'll have to work out on the ward fund to provide the MCS money to be able to make development at the low level of the county government.
Yes, but Mr. Sakwa, just before you answer that question, the same question that I asked the four gentlemen is that why do you want to be the governor of Kakamega County? Let's start with that.
The reason why I want to be the governor of Kakamega County, one, is that to improve the economic base of the Kakamega people. When I say that, is that we must create employment. And by creating employment, we have institutions that have collapsed. One, Mumia Sugar Company has collapsed. For us to be able to create and have a better economic base, is that the company that has collapsed, we are able to revive that particular company so that our young women and men are able to be employed in that particular company so that they can be able to earn a living. You look at the health sector. The health sector, we have hospitals. But these hospitals, they don't have doctors, they don't have nurses, and they don't have drugs. So it is important that these drugs are provided, doctors are also available, nurses are also available, the drugs are available. For the reason that we have sat in various meetings where they have told us that if you go to Kakamega Hospital right now, they'll tell you go and buy gloves for me to be able to inject you a syringe. And imagine, this is a county number 2 in the Republic of Kenya. So basically, we must ask ourselves, where did this problem start from? So we must improve our health sector. We must also make sure that our transport system is well organized.
Okay.
And we must also make sure that the Kakamega County, all people from Lukuyani, from Lugari, Malava, Kuisero, Mumias East, Mumias West, Matungu, Chinyali, Kolomani, and Rurambi. We must make sure that in the government that we are forming, we have all the people of Kakamega County. That a government that is all inclusive. The other thing is that we have problems like those mamas where the husbands have died. We must have come up with a system to be able to assist them. My government, when we take power, we have to make sure that all people who are, we call them walemavu, to saidia walemavu, so that all these people who have problems, like we have those ones like today I've met, they have eye problems. We have those ones, they cannot walk. So we must provide whatever that is required for them to be able to
Your 2 minutes are over, so I will ask you the same question that I asked them. You have 9 billion shillings of national revenue allocation. What to do with that money?
When we have 9 billion shillings, the reason why we have county government is to make sure that the people of Kakamega County are able to move forward. Then the question is, how do we move forward? We move forward by providing these particular funds to the local level, to the local mwananchi, like the MCS. The MCS play a very pivotal role in terms of the life of the people of Kakamega. We'll have a structures whereby we know this particular ward has this number of people, and we are able to provide funds for them. So when we provide funds for them, we'll be able to know that this particular hospital at that particular level requires these particular items or these particular machineries. We'll be able to know that this particular market requires these particular items, so that we can be able to understand that, because when we create these markets, we'll also be able to collect levy from these particular markets. So basically, when we have 9 billion shillings, we'll first of all look at development agendas. We'll work out with the MCS so that we can see that actually the people of Kakamega are able to get service delivered.
Thank you. Thank you. The 2 minutes are over. Now, gentlemen, I'm going to go to the next thematic question here, and starting with you, Suleiman. Food security is a big issue, and in Kakamega County, there is no exception about that. So what will you do to the farmers to improve their welfare in Kakamega County?
It's true, food security is a big issue, and Kakamega, unfortunately, we are consumer. If I become governor, I will invest so much in Bukura and Agricultural Institute to give direction. That institute has been neglected, and that is where I'll start. I will zero in Lugari and Likuyani, our food basket.
Yes.
To pump in more money in agribusiness, to look at incentives like fertilizer, subsidies for these small-scale farmers, so that we can have enough food for consumption and enough food for selling out. So we need to have these structures in place. We need to have better policies in place. We need to incorporate all the stakeholders if we have to secure our food security.
So what do you think is some of the cases, some of the reasons that why Kakamega County is not food secure?
It's not food secure because, one, lack of policies, proper lack of policies on agriculture. Industrialization, mechanized industrialization on farming. Negligence of institute like Bukura Institute of Agriculture.
Yes.
And lack of investing in our farmers. That is a big problem.
Okay. Boropitso, food security is a big issue. Mama Mboga, the local man down in the village, in all the 12 sub-counties, what should you do to have food security in this county?
You know, one of the issue about food security is always about the farm inputs. Like for now, like the current administration is giving out seeds and fertilizer. But the issue about our fertilizer, when you look, even most farmers are not confident about the fertilizer because of the issues about quality. If you have to give farmers, we have to improve productivity, and you give out seeds and fertilizer, we must improve on the issue of quality. As of now, we have fertilizer, but we have issues of quality, because if we are talking about rainfall, we have rainfall compared to other regions. The other issue is investing in issues about innovation and maybe new technology, so that we can give our farmers the mechanized, the new way of doing things. And the other issue is, as for now, we don't have enough extension officer who can teach our farmers that you can do this, you can plant this. Because if we can have this extension, the extension officer then can be educating our farmers on what to do best. I think when we do that, when we improve the issues of quality and we have our farmers being educated, that will be a start in helping improve issues of food security. And the other thing is about diversification and looking for, let me say, high value crops. A person with a half an acre will still plant maize. But how much maize will you plant that will sustain you for the whole year? Let's say it can't sustain you for the whole year, especially those small holders farm. So unless we are bringing in new crops that new variety of crops that are of high quality, then we can just we'll still be getting, we'll still have the issue of food security.
Thank you. Thank you. 2 minutes are over. Mr. Baraza, food security, they'd want to have food on their table regularly. What should you do to mitigate some of the factors that are affecting food security in this county?
Yeah, first and foremost, I'll want to do more allocation of my budget into agriculture because when you allocate more money into agriculture, then of course that will definitely give you an opportunity now to maximize on areas that require to be given priority. And my first priority, of course, is Agriculture Institute, because this one of Bukura is very important. I know that's sleeping giant. We need to invest more money in Bukura Agricultural Training College so that we can now do a lot of value addition in most of the products that we're having.
Right.
I'll invest a lot of money in our food basket, especially our sub-counties in the northern region. When you look at Likuyani, Lugari, and Malaba, that's where our food basket is. So what we're going to do, I'm going to allocate more funds so that farmers can get fertilizer and free maize seeds so that they can actually have some of those farm inputs subsidized from government. And then another important thing that I'll need to do is to improve on the infrastructure, especially in the northern region. I love to invest a lot in the road infrastructure so that when those agricultural products are ready, at least we have an infrastructure. We can now transport those particular products to the market. So investing in Bukura Training Institute, investing a lot into infrastructure, and then increasing the farm inputs which are subsidized on fertilizer and maize seeds.
Thank you.
When they do that, we are going to guarantee food security.
Thank you.
For Kakamega County.
Thank you so much. Mr. Mokoko, do you think Kakamega County is food secure? Let me start with you, from that point.
No, it's not. And we must also understand what are the fundamental issues. If you look at Kakamega across the 12 sub-counties, you will find specific differences. And part of it comes from how we practice our traditions. For example, farms have been subdivided until you find that a family of 6 people, of 8 people, are living on very small plots of land. They have a house here, and they have very small plots where they are practicing subsistence farming. Obviously, a family like that one will never have food security unless there is support coming from outside. So understanding the structure of our families, the structure of our homes, and how we practice farming is the first thing to do, because many families are involved in subsistence farming, and they get very little out of it. What comes out 2-3 months, the food is over, and people start living from hand to mouth. So there has to be sufficient allocation. I will allocate enough money in agriculture, but first of all, go the corporatization way. Go to form cooperatives. Put these people into cooperatives, because cooperatives are institutions that can be able to lease large chunks of land, practice proper management with proper extension officers, and using the right technology that can then be used to increase the yields from the farms. And also be able to understand that the diversity within the county, which area is good for what type of crop. Once we have that, then we'll be able to know that out of the 433,000 homesteads in this county, what amount of, say, maize do they consume? What amount of beans do they require? What area can be allocated to produce that amount that is required? What are the storage capacity that we need to create, so that we don't have a situation where middlemen come and buy things from the farms, they go and store them. When we don't have, when it comes to that time, then they start selling to us at very high prices.
All right, thank you.
So technology, just let me finish. investing in technology.
Your 2 minutes are over.
Like Bukura are all things that we'll have to do to be able to see that.
Your 2 minutes are over. I can see Osundwa looking at you like, you're eating into my time. Osundwa, food security, it's a big issue.
It is important to start from the start.
Right.
One is that we'll make sure that we carry out soil sample so that these professionals will tell us that in this particular area, we're able to bring up maize,
right.
We're able to plant beans, so that with these professionals, they'll be able to carry out sample of the soil and tell us this particular soil requires these ingredients, so that we can be able to have productivity, and we have quality, and we have we also have the produce comes in large numbers. In that one is that we must make sure that the road system, the transport system is good. Number two, we have to make sure that the CEC, the person you've appointed to be able to oversee agricultural activities in your government, is competent. Because you have to get information, you must be advised by a professional and tell you that now, in terms of food security, we need to do A, B, C, D. One is that in this particular area, we have carried out research and we can have good bananas from this area. So these particular people must be supported in this particular manner. When we go to Lugari and Lupiani, we have advised that for us to have good maize, we have to provide this particular fertilizer. And therefore, we also have to make sure that we have galleries whereby we are able to put our produce from the farm. More importantly, we must make sure that we provide water. We provide water. The reason is that we have some areas we don't have water. Then what we need to have a way of having a proper water system, so that when we have our produce in the farms, they're able to come in a good manner.
Okay, yes. I'll come back to the issue of water, because we've received a lot of complaints that the water system in Kakamega County is wanting, and some people say that it's being run like a Shylock. I'll need to get your point on that later on. But let me start with you, Suleiman. What are some of your plans to make sure that the primary health care in this particular county is well taken care of?
Health is an issue in this county, and it must be taken.
Does it worry you?
Yeah?
Does it worry you?
It worries me so much. What we have invested in this county is the hardware, the building hardware.
Yes.
We have neglected the software operations, where we don't have adequate drugs, where we don't have proper equipments, where the personnel that are very key, the doctors, the nurses, the welfare is not taken care of. So for me, the medical services is very expensive in this county. And the mitigating factor, one, we need to have a medical insurance scheme for ourselves, Kakamega County Medical Insurance Scheme. This will cushion the high cost of medicine in this county. We also need to look at, to think outside the box. We have herbalists in this county. If we can bring them on board and integrate them with the normal medicine practitioner, we can have a pharmaceutical industry in Kakamega in conjunction with institutes like Masinde Muliro. We can reduce the cost of drugs in some way. We also need to look into this Kakamega Referral Hospital to see if we can have it as a cancer treatment center. We waste a lot of our time and money going outside this republic, where we can easily transfer the technology from India or wherever to be in this county. And going back to the medical insurance scheme, yes, we have the NHIF at the national level. People do contribute 500 or so, but the money that comes back into our economy is very minimal, maybe 100 or 20 shillings. If we can build structures our own structures, medical insurance scheme. It will mean all the monies that we are contributing into the scheme will rotate within our environment, will pay doctors, will buy drugs, and we will reduce the cost of doing business in medical.
Thank you.
In this country.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right, I'll just at this particular point go to my colleague Nancy Okware, but before then, we'd also like to tell you that we have the Vice Chancellor of this particular university with me here and all other leaders of this particular county. Please feel welcome in this particular debate. But for now, let's head across to Nancy Okware to give us what we should expect from the audience. Nancy, over to you.
Shukran sana Victor, kwa kweli waliowasili hapa wamesikiza na kunao baadhi ambao wana maswali kwa wale waniaji ambao wamewasili, na hivyo basi ningependa tu kuanza na ulikuwa umeinua mkono, utasimama utueleze kwanza jina lako na swali lako ni lipi leo hii.
Asante. Majina yangu naitwa Bernard Oundo. Mimi ni mkazi wa Kakamega, kiongozi katika muungano wa wafanyabiashara. Kwanza nataka kushukuru KBC kwa kutuletea nafasi kukutana na wapendwa viongozi wetu ambao leo hii tumepata fursa ya kusikiliza kutoka kwao. La pili, asante viongozi wale ambao mmepata nafasi ya kutaka kutusaidia katika kaunti ya Kakamega. Swali langu ni moja tu ama mbili. Ya kwanza ni kwamba viongozi ambao mko mbele yetu ambao mnataka nafasi ya kutuongoza hapo nyuma kabla ya kesho, ni nini chenye tunaweza kuwahusisha nacho chenye mmefanyia watu wa Kakamega? At least tunaweza hesabu moja ama mbili ikawa mfano ya kwamba mtakapopata hii nafasi mtatusaidia. Swali la pili, ningetaka unyenyekevu kumuuliza His Excellency Fernandez Barasa. Swali langu ni rais kiongozi wangu, ya kwamba umetupea mikakati ambayo unataka kutufanyia, na moja wapo ni kwamba umesema unataka kufanya hili na hili kwa sababu kiongozi wako party leader ameshaiweka katika manifesto yake. Swali langu ni hili, unapoongea kiongozi wako wa party leader, unaongelea Azimio ama unaongelea ODM? Tuko tofauti ya ODM na Azimio. Unaongelea kiongozi wako akiwa kwa Azimio ama akiwa kwa ODM ama akiwa governor? Na niulizie tu pale nikimalizia, is it possible? Thank you so much.
Asante, tutarejea kwako baada ya muda usiokuwa mrefu. Pengine tuchukue swali moja kisha nirejeshe kwake Victor ayaelekeze kisha tutaendelea. Jina lako na swali lako ni lipi?
Thank you very much. My name is Wakili Kairena Basenge Crispus. I'm one of the senatorial aspirant Kakamega County. I have two questions to the gubernatorial aspirants. The first one is, we have had devolution for the last 10 years. In your own understanding and in your own views, have we had a successful devolution in reference to Kakamega County? If yes, to what extent? And if not, to what extent? The second question is, what are the challenges so far that are facing devolution and in reference to Kakamega County? Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for your question. Nitachukua swali la dada ambaye ameinua mkono kwa sababu ya masuala ya kijinsia, usawa wa kijinsia. Utasimama utueleze jina lako na swali lako ni lipi?
My name is Asha Ngaira, an MCA candidate, Shirere Ward, under Kanu ticket, under Azimio. My question is, what are your solid plans for the youth of this county?
Thank you so much for your question. I'll be moving towards this side and get the final question for this round. Before I go, I hand it back to Victor. What's your name and what's your question tonight?
Kwa majina yangu kamili najulikana kama Rayson Kadenge, mtangazaji wa Most FM 103.9. Swali langu la kwanza ningependa kuuliza viongozi wote. Kumekuwa na utovu wa usalama katika kaunti ya Kakamega ambako wanafunzi wengi wa Masinde Muliro, chuo cha Masinde Muliro wameweza kuhusika. Tumesikia visa kwamba wengine wamekimbizwa hadi wengine wameweza kuuawa. Na swali langu la pili ni kuwa gavana anayeondoka hivi sasa anayejulikana kama Wycliffe Oparanya, kuna baadhi ya vibanda ambavyo viliweza kubomolewa wakati wa serikali yake. Je, ni mikakati gani nyinyi kama ambao mnawania kiti cha ugavana mnaiweka ili wale ambao waliweza kupoteza vile vibanda vyao na kazi zao mtawafanyia mikakati gani ili wakaweze tena kuregea katika business zao za kawaida? Shukran sana.
Naam, asante. Kwa sasa nitarejesha usukani kwake Victor Olo aelekeze maswali hayo, kisha tutarejea kwenye awamu ya pili. Victor.
Thank you so much. Now you've heard it from the audience. Very pertinent question. Let me start with you, Opitso. You've had the question that the issue of track record. You all want to be governors. At the end of the day, you will all be one. But he's asking a question of a track record. What have you done so that people can tie to the future plans that you have for this particular county? Pick it on, Opitso, please.
Yeah, for my case, I have participated in capacity building of cooperatives, especially the dairy cooperative. But this was a program by the county government in conjunction with the JICA, which is Japanese Cooperation.
You think? You're not so sure what you've worked for?
Japanese International Cooperation Agency.
Yes.
If I'm not wrong. For this, it was teaching especially cooperatives about the issue of production, the issue of quality, the issue of to do with standardization. So to a large extent, I can say I've been an integral part in the issue in trying to train cooperatives, especially the farmers, more specifically to do with beekeeping, the issue about peanut butter production, and the issue of dairy farmers. And as a tourism professional, I've previously worked with the county. And one of the things I've done at the individual level, let me not say individual level because in government, you don't take credit alone. But for example, when it has come to the issue of culture,
yes,
which I'm a professional, and the issue of tourism, one of the things I've played an active role is developing a policy, developing a concept paper on the issue of marketing and the development of bull sport, so that we can attract more tourism, more tourists in the county.
Thank you so much. I'll come back to you somewhere later on, Suleiman, so that you can also answer the same question. But coming to Mr. Baraza, you've been asked a question about whether you know your manifesto, your plan is about Azimio and ODM. To all of you gentlemen, there's a question about whether there's successful devolution in the county and to what extent, and again this issue of plan to safeguard the interests of the youth, this particular county, and most importantly, Masinde Muliro University. So you'll pick it in any particular order, starting with you, Mr. Baraza.
First and foremost, I want to confirm that the coalition leader that I was talking about is Raila Amolo Odinga, who is the leader of Azimio One Kenya Alliance. And the specific program that I was referring to was Baba Care, because he has promised free medical services to all Kenyans when he takes over. And me as his governor for Kakamega, of course I'm going to ride on that so that now I provide the gaps. For example, in Kakamega, one of the key areas that I'm going to focus on is to ensure that we have at least 12 level 4 hospitals in all our 12 sub-counties, and also upgrading those dispensaries into health centers, ensuring that we have drugs, we have medical facilities, and then equipment. How am I going to do this? Because looking at the network that I have, I'm not just going to depend on allocation from government. I'm going to bring on board guys from NGOs that can invest into healthcare, so that we can provide those facilities. Now, what have I done for Kakamega County people?
You have 1 minute to go. 1 minute.
Through Baraza Foundation, which has been around for the last 3 years, I've been able to provide free medical checkup for Kakamega residents, over 5,000 of them, with eyeglasses, We also had a program for nurturing talent, where I had the inaugural Baraza Foundation extravaganza, football extravaganza. We were able to tap talent and identified some young men and women who joined Harambee Stars, and that is of course through my initiative. I've been able to buy motorcycles for the young men and also teaching them about safety on the road. This has of course created employment opportunities for them. I've also been able to support women programs through the incoming First Lady. She's been moving around supporting women programs and also supporting the girl child.
Thank you.
Through sanitary towels.
All right.
And of course, besides that, through Baraza Foundation, we were able to provide wheelchairs to the PWDs and crutches.
Your time is up. Your time is up. Mr. Mukoko, right.
First, I'll comment on the issue of healthcare because it's very core to my heart and how I see it being practiced in Kakamega County and in the country at large. Specifically for Kakamega, I'll look at it in two ways, both how it benefits the local person in terms of access to proper healthcare, affordable medicine, and availability. That is something that has got to be addressed from the sub-county up to the ward level. So if every sub-county can have a level 4 hospital, and we make sure that every ward has a dispensary, so you create a structure that starts right from the ward all the way up to the apex of the sub-county. But in terms of how we can develop healthcare in this county, I think that the elevation of our general hospital to a level 6 hospital attached to Masinde Muliro as a teaching institutions will then be able to develop capability of becoming a referral hospital so that we can attract people from outside who come and get treatment from here, therefore bringing us revenue and helping us to develop that sector well.
There's a gentleman who asked a question about devolution.
Yes.
If you can just touch on that. Is it successful in the county? 2 seconds.
I think that it started well, but as of now, I think we have lost a bit of what we thought, the track that we should have been following. And this is one of the things we need to know. We need to understand that devolution was focused to empowering the local person, bringing those revenues closer to the people. And if the person in the county is not feeling the impact of the development that is happening, then that person has nothing to say about devolution. And today, if you walk around, if you ask anybody here, what's happening in your pockets, what's happening in the county, people are hungry, people don't have money. I need to say to use one of the time that I allocated.
Your time is up. Okay, all right, I'll come back to you later on.
Yes.
All right, Mr. Sundwa.
Yes.
There's a gentleman who asked about the plan to help the youth, more so the security. I was quite close to the people of Kakamega County, specifically on that, and to respond to these questions which were asked in 2 minutes.
Yes, there's one who had asked about what have you done. I want to confirm to the Kakamega people that I'm a lawyer by profession, and I've trained lawyers. Some of them are working in various government agencies, and some of them are magistrates as we speak today. And I've also been able to stand with those who cannot be able to pay legal fees, and I've done cases for them for free. One in mind, we have that case in Mumias, we have Mujini area. The county government wanted to evict them. I went to court, and we were able to secure an order to stop the county from interfering with their peaceful coexistence. And we've supported the constructions of churches and mosques. And also, currently, I'm working on a case on Mia Sugar Company. I'm doing that case for free. I'm not being paid any money. The reason is that 3 years ago, there's somebody who had wanted to take over Mumia Sugar Company. I went to court, and I was able to secure an order that no one should interfere with the affairs of Mumia Sugar Company. So to a large extent, I've been able to provide leadership in terms of my profession by training young women and men. And some of them, currently, they've also been able to employ other people. But more importantly, They've asked about devolution. I confirm that it started well, but along the line, we lost it. The reason being is that devolution was to empower people and be able to provide services to the last person on the ground. But as we see today, we are not moving forward, and that's why it is important to be able to come forward and tell people of Kakamega we can do better than what has been done.
All right, thank you so much. All right, so gentlemen, there's a gentleman who asked a question about the vibandas, the kiosks. There were some demolitions by the county askaris, and what are some of the plans that you have, if any of you will be elected, to ensure that such kind of demolitions do not reoccur or even improve to the betterment of the county dwellers. Now, let me go back to Nancy Okware, because this is a local-oriented program. So let me take it to you, Nancy Okware. What do they have from the other side of the audience?
Naam, shukran sana Victor Olo. Maswali ni mengi, hivyo basi wakati huu nitaelekea upande huu, manake hatujachukua maswali kutoka upande huu. Tukianza nawe, jina lako na swali lako ni lipi kwa kifupi?
Asante. Kwa majina ni Sila Buyema Shienzi, MCA candidate Soha West Ward, Shinyalu Sub-County. Swali langu ni kwa matarajio wa governors. Ni mbinu ipi mtatumia kuhakikisha ya kwamba hizi sub-counties zote zinapata equitable share of their county allocation? Sababu niulize hivi, utapata kuna county zingine, sub-county zingine zimepata maendeleo kuliko zingine. Kwa hiki kipindi tumekuwa nacho cha miaka 10. Asante.
Asante. Jina lako na swali lako ni lipi?
Mimi naitwa Reverend John Kanyanga, karani wa Mwirichi CFA, Community Forest Association. Swali yangu ni hii. Tuko na mabadiliko ya hali ya anga na inadhiri mazingira yetu. Ni mikakati gani mko nayo kukabiliana nayo? Na ya pili, tuko na uhaba wa maji safi kwa kila nyumba. Ni nini mtafanya kila mtu apate maji safi?
Na asante kwa swali lako. Nitakuja upande huu wa mbele. Tueleze jina lako na swali lako ni lipi leo hii?
Jina langu ni Mlongo Mesha Konzere. Swali la kwanza ni kwamba chuo hiki cha sayansi na teknolojia cha Masinde Muliro kimekuwa na changamoto nyingi, haswa kuhusu jinsi ambavyo wanafunzi wanahangaikia kupita kuvuka barabara ambayo ipo hapa mbele ya chuo. Hatujui kama kuna mpango wote kuhusu serikali ya county ambayo inahusu wale ambao wanawania viti, kama watakuwa na mpango wote wa kusawazisha ajali ambazo zimekuwa zikitokea pale. Jambo la kwanza. Jambo la pili, chuo kikuu cha sayansi na teknolojia cha Masinde Muliro pia kimekuwa na ndicho chuo ambacho sasa katika eneo hili ni kiwanda kinachosimama. Viwanda vyote vimepotea. Kukiwa na viwanda kama kile cha Mumias. Sasa hivi ni mpango upi ambao gavana ambao wananuia kuingia afisini watatekeleza ili kwamba chuo hiki kisiwe miongoni mwa vile viwanda ambavyo vimeangamia?
Asante.
Asante.
Asante kwa swali lako. Njoo tu tueleze jina lako na swali lako ni lipi leo hii kwa kifupi?
Kwa jina naitwa Ponyochi Kunyobo, MCA mtarajiwa wa Sheyo Ward. Nina maswali mawili. Swali la kwanza ni hili. You've all appreciated the fact that devolution has not worked, especially in Kakamega County. And the main reason is that the money has not actually gone to the common mwananchi down there. We have been having this issue of denying the residents of Kakamega some of the contracts, especially the big contracts, under the pretext that they don't have the capacity. How will you ensure that the residents of Kakamega are given big contracts so that the funds actually remains within the county? How would you build the capacity of the residents of Kakamega so that they can undertake those big projects? And then maybe the other question goes to my friend Fernandez. You've actually capitalized on the issue of Baba Care. I'm not praying that Baba does not make it, but assuming he doesn't make it, does it mean that your project, your health aspiration, especially the health care, you will not undertake it just because Baba has not made it? Thank you.
Thank you for your question. I'll be taking the final one, then I hand it back to Victor. Your name and your question.
I'm Paul Odongo, representing Network for Research and Governance. To the gubernatorial aspirant, the governor incumbent Oparanya started some project, and some of them that are sort like the tea factory in Shinyalu, the maize processing, the milk in Malava. What are you going to do on those projects when you take power? Then two, how are you going to ensure meaningful public participation? Because so many times we present the issue or it is done with the formality and priority are not incorporated. The last one is on issue of revenue. Kakamega has been underperforming. The 2020-2021 revenue was 2.1 billion. Then it was revised to 1.6 billion. What are you going to ensure that the revenue base, you are sealing the leakages and ensure that the Kakamega start performing revenue collection? Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for your questions. I'd like to hand it back to Victor Olo so that he can direct the questions to the candidates tonight.
Thank you so much. Very good questions from the audience there. Let me start with you, Suleiman. In any particular order in 2 minutes, they've raised very pertinent questions, starting from the issue of contracts in the county. Mr. Barazi, you've also been asked the question, if Baba Care will not sell through, then what will be a plan? Some of the plans of public participation to all of you gentlemen, and lastly, the revenue collection in this particular county is wanting. Starting with you, Suleiman, in which particular order? Take it away, 2 minutes.
I will talk about the revenue streams. For us to ensure that we are in a proper direction, we first of all need to identify and profile all our revenue streams. Look at the leakages that are existing in these revenue streams and try to make corrective actions. Seal all the loopholes, especially corruption and non-innovation. We also need to look at the revenue streams that are not tapped. For example, the advertisement sector, it is not tapped. How best can we tap this advertisement sector so that we can enhance our revenue collection?
Yes.
So in bottom line, it's just about profiling, identifying, and sealing the loophole. On the bridge that has been talked about, the Masinde Muliro and the accident, we need to understand that this highway is for the national government. Really, the county government has got no big say. However, if we can partner with the national government and insist because of security issues, safety issues, then it is possible that we can have a bridge, because it is too important for this institution not to lose the student because of accidents. So if I am a governor, I'll be knocking at the national government road and transport sector to ensure that some allocation is made here to make sure that we have that bridge.
Okay.
If not be, we can have an understanding between the national government and county government, and we undertake that project.
All right, thank you so much. Let's go with you, Upitso.
Yeah, for my case, I think I'll start about the issue of revenue collection.
Yes.
The way we are performing badly is because of what Mheshimiwa is saying about leakages. But what causes the issue, things that cause leakage is because of corruption. But what causes corruption? When you tax, when the levies are too high and people can't afford, and I'm supposed to pay like 10,000 for a small cyber, I would rather give the person collecting the revenue person some 5,000 and the county fails to get the other money. So what we can do, especially in terms of licenses, we can agree with the traders. You don't have to pay this at once. Maybe you can agree, you pay twice a year, after maybe twice annually. I think with that, we'll reduce the issue of leakages. And there's someone who said the issue of community forest association. He addressed the issue about water. In my manifesto, I have something called 4K. By 4K, I mean the issue of kisima kwa kila kijiji. We want to take water, because look, to dig a borehole, let's estimate roughly at 500,000. If we used 500 million to dig boreholes, that will be 1,000. We can do 1,000 boreholes every year. If I go to the next point, the issue about these factories, those that have not been done. I had said, in my first year, I'll not be starting new projects that are consuming a lot of money. Let's first finish this project. Because if this project were intended to help the common mwananchi, why start new ones while you can finish this one?
Okay, thank you. Much appreciated. Mr. Baraza?
I just want to comment first on the my partnership with Masinde Muliro University. Of course, we appreciate that most is the only industry we have in Kakamega County that is operational. I intend to partner with the university through research and innovation, especially on matters healthcare, so that we can optimize the resource we have at the university vis-a-vis what we have at the county, especially on matters healthcare. In terms of devolution, my take is devolution has not worked effectively because of challenges at the legislation. Resources are not following the functions. We have devolved more functions in the counties, but the resources are stuck in the national government. And one of the ways of dealing with that challenge is to increase the revenue allocation, which I'm very confident that in Baba's government we are going to move from 15% to 35% so that you can match resources to the functions. And I believe that will address some of those challenges, especially on the stall projects. If Baba does not get elected, definitely I also have programs on healthcare. And one of the areas that I will prioritize is to make sure that every constituency has a level 4 hospital that is well equipped, that has medical facilities, and that has all the drugs. And this I'll do beyond the exchequer funding by partnering with other NGOs so that we can bring money here.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Baraza.
In terms of the stall projects, of course, I'll give priority to Shinyalu Tea Factory. I'll give priority to the dairy factory in Malava. And then, of course, to ensure that we have our own revenue optimized, I'm going to bring on board issues around automation of revenue collection.
Thank you.
So that you can seal some of those loopholes that we have the revenue leakages.
Thank you.
And then, of course, finally, I want to promise Kakamega people that all the contracts that we are going to and to give people, we are going to have equity. We are going to have the youth being given priority, women being given priority, using the Agbo principle so that any contract which is below 5 billion shillings can be reserved.
Thank you. Asante sana.
Finally, for
your time is up.
Equitable allocation of resources,
you are eating into Mr.
Mukoko's 20 billion shillings for ward fund that will address all the wards that we have in the county getting 20 billion shillings for equitable distribution of resources.
Thank you so much. All right. Mr. Mukoko, he's eaten into your time. I don't know how you're going to recover that. All right. Take it away in 2 minutes, kindly.
On the issue of equitable allocation, I think for me, the structures are already in place because you have a budgetary system that requires public participation.
Yes.
So if a budget has been prepared by the government at the county, that budget will then be subjected to public participation to be able to see that priority areas have been addressed across the county. And one of the things that we'll need to look at specifically in the government that I'll have put in place is inclusivity, right? That nobody gets left out in terms of what they require or what they need to see from this government. There is the issue of revenue collections. Now, when you're looking at revenue collections, first of all, what is the base that is generating that particular revenue? What activities are in this county that need to generate revenue? We have businesses, we have people who are doing activities all over. We've got to address those activities and ensure that across the board, all those are captured and empowered to start developing whatever they are doing so that we can increase the revenue that is coming from them and seal whatever loopholes that might be there. Now, I'm very concerned about the issue of institutions that have been established in this county, for example, Mumias, and they have collapsed. Now, in terms of development, economic development of an area, of course, we've got to make substantial investments in big projects. Those big projects become anchors of development and they pull other smaller projects to be around it.
Thank you.
So one of the things I have to ensure is that Masinda Muliro provides a good example of an institution that has stood. But all other institutions that have relevance, that touch on the local people, have got to be established so that we build capacity to ensure that the spillover to these people is down.
Thank you. Time is up. We are running out of time, I'm told. Let me just take it to Mr. Osundo, if you can.
Yes, thank you.
In under 2 minutes. I will have to cut your time, kindly.
Thank you. Mr. Ponochi asked about the contracts. I want to assure him that the Kakamega people, as long as they comply with the law and they comply with the directions given in terms of a particular contract, those people will be awarded contracts. Because we understand that our people are not able to get contracts because of one or two issues. But I can confirm here that if an advertisement is put on the newspaper and you follow the process and you comply, then you'll be able to get that particular contract. Because it is important to know that devolution is about the people of Kakamega. So we have to provide that particular leadership so that they are we are able to give them jobs, particular contract to be able to move forward. Number two, we've spoken about the collapsed Mumia Sugar Company. Will be able to put across a team that is able to provide the systems that we can work with so that we can revive the sugar company.
All right.
Number three, we've spoken about the tea factory.
You have 20 seconds remaining, please.
We've spoken about the tea factory and dairy in Malava. We have to complete those projects because they were already in progress. So it is important that we finish those projects. We are able to employ our people to be able to earn a living.
Thank you.
Lastly, lastly, we have the issue of the flyover. We'll petition the Kenha to be able to provide a flyover so that we minimize the number of accidents of students crossing over the road.
Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. I'm afraid that we've actually gone past the time allocated for this particular debate, but I would really like to appreciate each and every one of you, including the audience, for being so patient and so calm for this particular debate. And just to appreciate Major Retired Suleiman Sumba Kanyanya of Kanu, thank you so much for coming. Opitso Austin, independent candidate, thank you so much for your time as well. FCPA Fernandez Baraza, thank you so much as well for gracing this particular event. He belongs to the ODM party. Samuel Obukoko of MDP, asante sana for coming. And finally, Michael Osundo Sakwa, an independent candidate. Gentlemen, you've done your bit, but you know what? It's 9th of August, Wananchi will have the final say, right? Gentlemen, let's give them a round of applause as we close this particular debate. And on that note, we call it a wrap from Kakamega County. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. Remember that this event still continues online, so you go there and watch and post your questions. We are going to send all the questions raised to even other candidates and even these candidates for their future reference. For me and the entire crew, bye-bye, and thank you so much for watching, and good night.